Okay, it is with great pleasure that I get to introduce Bill Nootenboom to the stage. Bill has been a member of EO for over 15 years and is the co-founder of the Pragma Group, a Portland-based business acceleration consultancy and mergers and acquisition advisory firm. Bill is here to tell us his confessions as a serial entrepreneur. Bill.
So I have a confession to make. I never really wanted to be an entrepreneur, which is kind of funny because I've spent the last 20 years of my life either founding, co-founding, or running, or helping other people run, grow, and sell their businesses. But where I grew up, business was a dirty word. In northern Minnesota, there are three types of businesses. You got your logging, you got your mining, and you got your railroads. And when I was a kid, the mining companies put so much toxic waste into Lake Superior that the entire city of Duluth couldn't drink the water because it caused cancer. And I learned how to trout fish from an old Finlander who had 3 fingers. And he taught me how to tie a fly with just 3 fingers because he lost the rest of them working on railroads. And the guys that taught me how to deer hunt, they always used to complain that as soon as the hunting got good, the logging companies would come in and they'd clear cut everything and screw up the hunting for the next generation or so. So up north, as we say back in Minnesota, the old timers like to sit around the campfire and tell stories, and usually tell stories about how shitty the business people were around them. So, like this one, the story about the year my grandfather was born, 1918. For about 50 years, the logging companies had been cutting old growth timber forever, so there was nothing but slash as far as the eye could see. 18 was a hot, dry year. There was a big drought. And the railroad companies continued to run their locomotives without a spark arrestor, even though they knew that that caused fires, and in the past, hundreds of people had died. In that year, 1,500 square miles burned. 30 towns were wiped off the map. In my family's hometown of Moose Lake, there's a mass grave of 200 people who died that day. Or how about this story that they used to tell about how my great-grandmother came to hate the logging companies. She worked for one of Frederick Weyerhaeuser's logging companies in Wisconsin because her husband was a high climber, one of those guys that top the trees off before they cut them down. And she was a cook. She worked in the mess hall, so her job was to feed 100 hungry lumberjacks every day. She had a 2-year-old son, and he spent his days in a playpen that the lumberjacks built underneath one of the tables. And one day her husband didn't come in from work at lunch, because one of the trees that he was topping, it came off wrong and it knocked him off the tree. And what do you suppose her only death benefit was? She got to keep her job for another week and cook for 99 hungry lumberjacks. And why? Because it was immoral for a single woman to live in a lumber camp. Apparently, it was more moral to turn her out homeless and jobless with her 2-year-old son. So you can understand why in my family, saying that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, that you wanted to start and run a business, was somewhat akin to saying that your lust for filthy lucre had destroyed your humanity entirely, and you wanted to exploit widows and orphans for profit and poison the water for fun. So I got another confession to make. And I probably shouldn't make this confession here at an event that's sponsored by the Business Journal and the Entrepreneurs Organization in a room full of 300 business people who like to get together and talk about business before they even have breakfast, but here goes. I like my family more than I like my business. And I learned that lesson a long time ago. When I was in law school, I had a job offer from a big firm. I had 1 week that was a very big week for me. I got a job offer from a prestigious law firm. In the same week, my first son was born, and I had a choice to make. And I knew that if I took the job, I would never see the son, billable hours being what billable hours are. So my wife and I talked it over, and we decided that, you know what, deep in our hearts, we value our family more than we value the money. And that's a lesson that stayed with me for a long time. And that's how I became an entrepreneur. Followed my values into a life that I wanted to lead. So a lot of people ask me, now that I've been doing M&As for a long time and helping people grow their businesses and sell their businesses, what their business is worth. What can they sell it for when they retire? What is the true value of their business? And when I get paid to answer that question, I usually answer that question in a 30-page document that has lots of facts and figures about all sorts of financial information, like the market expected rates of return on invested capital. We talk about the weighted averages of discounted future cash flows. We talk about the fair market value or the liquidation value of tangible assets on the balance sheet, not including accumulated depreciation, and of course, always the almighty multiple of EBITDA. But when I don't get paid to answer that question, I tell people this, that the true value of your business is not going to be found in any financial statement. The true value of your business isn't going to be found in any financial ratio, because it's not about the money. It's about your true values. Because over the 20, 25 years that I've been either an entrepreneur or advising entrepreneurs, I've learned a little something. I've learned a little something about why people start businesses. They don't start businesses because they want to get rich quick. And I think most of the entrepreneurs in this room will tell you that. The odds are against you. The number of businesses that fail in the first couple of years are too high. The risks are too great. The stuff you don't know is legion. So starting a business is not a financially rational act, but yet people do it all the time. EO is full of people who pour their hearts and souls into their business, who pour their life savings into it, and pour the life savings of all their friends and family into the business. And why do they do that? You know, that's what I've been trying to figure out. Why would you do that? And you do that because you want to make the world a better place, right? You see a group of people that is poorly served, and you think, I can serve those people better, and they deserve better. You see a problem that needs to get fixed that just bugs you, and you know it bugs a bunch of other people, and you just want to fix that problem and make the world a better place. Or you have an idea for a product that's going to meet a fundamental human need that isn't being met right now, but ultimately you want to make the world a better place. Okay? So that desire, those values, I want to make the world a better place, those become the mission and the vision of the companies that I work with, okay? And when you have a strong mission and vision, a funny thing happens. You tend to attract other people who have the same values when you share those values, okay? So when you have those values and you attract other people that have those values, a funny thing happens to your company. You get a strong culture. And when you have a strong culture, you have a cohesive management team because everybody's there for the same reason. Everybody's fighting the same fight. Everybody shares the same values. So they can make decisions for each other on a moment's notice because everybody knows what they're trying to do. Everybody knows how the world will get better. Okay? When you have a cohesive management team, you tend to have high levels of trust inside the organization. Well, what does that mean when you have trust inside the organization? What it means is that you have fewer employee problems. You have fewer angry customers. You have fewer disagreements. You have no litigation. Okay? So there's a theme here. Anybody who's ever done any M&A work in this audience will know, hey, those are the things that drive up the value of the business, right? So when I look at the financial statements of a company and I try to figure it out, I want to see if this company really knows their values. And the way I look to see if they know their values is I look at their income statement because the revenue line will be strong and will be growing. I'll look at the gross profit margin because it'll be above industry benchmarks. And why is that? It's because the company who clearly understands their values so clearly that they can communicate to those other people, those companies have a strong brand. Whether they're a consumer products company or a service company or a manufacturing company, they have a strong brand. And what is a brand? A brand is nothing but a symbol for our shared human values, right? A symbol for what we believe in. And when that symbol communicates values from a company to the consumer, the business is going to be financially healthy. So what I'm going to see is I'm going to see strong revenue and growth, high gross profit margins. I'm going to see, very few litigation, no unhappy customers, good PR. All of those things are going to communicate that this business is healthy. And why? Because they know what their values are. So in the end, it's not about your lust for filthy lucre. It's about your decision to make the world a better place. So I think my family would be proud of my career as a serial entrepreneur. I haven't cut off anybody's fingers. I haven't kicked out any widows and orphans onto the street. But what I do get to do every day is I do get to work with people who are committed to making the world a better place, with a team of people who believe the same things they believe. We get to focus on defining our shared human values, and we get to focus on increasing value for everybody, inside the company and at the world at large. and it's pretty good work if you can get it. Thank you.